The stars were calm that night above Earth, but in the blackness beyond, something vast was approaching. For days, every telescope, satellite, and radar station on the planet picked up strange signals. They were not natural. They were too perfect, too rhythmic, too deliberate. Humanity had waited centuries for a message from the stars. And now one had come. The message was short, written in a language no one knew, but decoded by artificial intelligence within hours. It read, "Prepare for contact. We come to bring order." At first, people thought it was a joke or a mistake. But when the great silver ships appeared near the moon, there was no longer any doubt. Humanity was not alone. The Aurelian Empire was one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, spreading their rule through fear and control. Their ships glowed like crystal and their soldiers moved like machines, calm, perfect and emotionless. Captain Saris Vale, commander of the Aurelian diplomatic fleet, stood at the bridge of her flagship, Radiant Spear. Her golden eyes looked down at the small blue planet below. To her, Earth was a curiosity, wild, unbalanced, and dangerous. Her orders were clear: make them surrender peacefully or prepare the planet for assimilation. The Aurelians did not destroy for pleasure. They simply believed the galaxy must be ruled by logic. Emotion in their eyes was chaos. And humanity, with its wars and laughter and dreams, was the most chaotic species of all. Saris turned to her officers. "Begin planetary scan," she ordered in her calm musical voice. "We will locate their leaders and open communication." "Yes, Captain," replied Lieutenant Terran, his face expressionless. "But this species is strange." "Their transmissions are full of noise, songs, laughter, emotion." "Emotion is weakness," Saris said simply. "We will teach them order." Down on Earth, the United Planetary Council, a new global government, formed after years of unity, gathered in a great chamber under Geneva Dome. Representatives from every continent watched the screen as the alien ship appeared in orbit. The world held its breath. Finally, the aliens sent a transmission. The image that appeared was clear: a tall, elegant being with golden skin, long silver hair, and eyes like molten amber. Saris Vale looked both terrifying and beautiful. Her voice was calm but firm. "Humans of Earth," she began, "you have reached a level of development that threatens the balance of the galaxy. The Aurelian Empire comes not to destroy, but to bring you into harmony. Surrender your armies, your weapons, and your independence. Join the Empire peacefully, and live." The chamber went silent. Then a man stepped forward. He wore the dark uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. His name was Commander Ryan Hale, a decorated peace officer known for his courage and calm under pressure. He stood before the camera and spoke. "This is Commander Hale of Earth. We thank you for your message, but humanity does not surrender its freedom. We believe in peace, yes, but not in chains. Let us meet face to face and talk." The Aurelian fleet was surprised. Most species either begged for mercy or attacked, but the humans wanted to talk. Saris considered this for a long time, then nodded. "Very well. We will meet. Choose a place." 3 days later, on a quiet plain in Iceland, an Aurelian shuttle landed. Its shining hull reflected the northern lights. Hundreds of human soldiers stood in formation, but their weapons were lowered. The humans had promised no violence. When Saris stepped out, her presence silenced the crowd. She was tall and graceful, wearing armor that shimmered like glass. Beside her, 4 Aurelian guards moved with perfect discipline. Commander Hale walked forward to meet her. He was not wearing armor, only a dark coat and a calm smile. "Welcome to Earth," he said warmly. "I hope your journey wasn't too cold." Saris tilted her head. "You joke?" "It's something we do," Hale replied. "It helps break the ice." Her eyes flickered, confused. "Break the ice? The ice is already broken by our landing heat." Hale laughed softly. "It's a saying. It means to make people comfortable." For the first time, Saris blinked twice, unsure how to respond. Her people never joked. Her heart, or whatever served as its Aurelian counterpart, felt an unfamiliar flutter. "Strange," she murmured. "You speak of comfort in a time of surrender." "We're not surrendering," Hale said gently. "We're just talking." As they walked toward the temporary conference tent, Saris studied him. His eyes were steady, his movements confident but relaxed. He carried no weapon, not even armor. Every other species they had met feared them. But this man, he smiled. Inside the tent, diplomats and scientists waited. The room was simple, white lights, tables, and flags from every human nation. The humans offered food and water, but the Aurelians declined. Captain Saris, Hale began, we understand your empire values logic and order, but humanity believes in freedom. We've made mistakes, yes, wars, greed, pollution, but we also learn. We build, we create, we dream. Saris looked at him silently. Dreams are illusions. They bring pain. Maybe, he said, leaning forward slightly, but sometimes dreams build worlds. Maybe yours started as one too. There was a pause. The translators echoed softly between them. The human's words were simple, but his tone, his emotion was like a melody her mind couldn't block out. Her guard shifted nervously, sensing her hesitation. She turned away. Your world is beautiful, Commander Hale, but beauty fades. Only order lasts, Hale smiled. We don't need war. Your beauty has already killed us. The entire tent went silent. Even the translators stopped. Saris froze, her eyes wide. What did you say? Hale laughed awkwardly, rubbing his neck. It's just a saying, a compliment. Your people are beautiful. I meant no offense. But to Saris the words echoed like thunder. Your beauty has already killed us. No one in the Aurelian Empire had ever spoken such words to her. Or anyone. Compliments, affection, emotion. These things were forbidden among her kind. And yet when she looked at him, something inside her began to stir, like light breaking through clouds. Her voice softened without her meaning to. Humans are strange creatures. Strange, Hale said, smiling, but friendly. Hours passed as they talked. About philosophy, art, science, and peace. Saris found herself listening more than she expected. The humans were not perfect, but they were alive in ways her people had forgotten. At one point, a young human aide dropped a cup and everyone laughed, even some of the soldiers. The sound was warm, uncontrolled, and full of life. Saris's heart raced. The Aurelians never laughed. They found no joy in accidents. But here, even mistakes became moments of connection. When the meeting ended, Saris walked outside alone. The wind of Iceland brushed her face. For the first time in years, she felt something close to peace. Her lieutenant approached. Captain, what are your orders? Saris hesitated. We'll wait. Wait? For what? She looked up at the stars. For understanding. That night aboard her ship, Saris could not sleep. Her mind replayed every word, every smile. The way the humans looked at one another, not as tools but as living beings, unsettled her. In her private log, she wrote, The humans are not like the others. They are dangerous, yes, but not because of their weapons. They are dangerous because they feel. Their words touch even where reason cannot. She paused, then added quietly. Commander Hale said, We don't need war. Your beauty has already killed us. I do not understand what it means fully. But why does my heart race when I remember it? Outside her window, the earth turned slowly, glowing blue and alive. Saris placed her hand against the glass and whispered to herself, Perhaps emotion is not weakness after all. Days passed after the first meeting between Captain Saris Vielle and Commander Ryan Hale. The Aurelian fleet still floated above Earth like silent giants, but they had not attacked. They only watched, studied, and waited. The humans continued to send peaceful messages, music, art, short films, and stories translated into the Aurelian language. Saris had ordered her communication officers to collect them all for study, but secretly, she had been watching them herself. She didn't understand why. Every night, when her ship dimmed its lights and her crew went into low-power rest cycles, Saris would sit alone in her command chamber, replaying human broadcasts. A video of a child running through rain, a woman singing on a small wooden stage, a group of people hugging after a sports victory. So much emotion, so much life. The Aurelians had long erased these things from their civilization, believing that emotion made them weak, that feelings distracted from progress and order. But the more Saris watched, the more she began to wonder, had they erased something more important than weakness? Had they erased what it meant to be alive? Meanwhile, down on Earth, Commander Hale worked tirelessly to keep the peace talks alive. The United Planetary Council was split. Some wanted to prepare for war, others wanted to trust the Aurelians. Hale stood before the council with calm determination. Captain Saris and her people came expecting fear, he said. Let's not give them what they expect. Let's show them what humanity is, not through weapons, but through heart. Some laughed at his words. Others called him naive. But a few leaders nodded. They understood. Back aboard the Aurelian flagship Radiant Spear, things were changing, quietly but deeply. Saris noticed it first among her crew. Lieutenant Terran, once a perfect example of discipline, had begun asking strange questions. "Captain," he said one day during their observation shift, "why do humans cry when they are happy?" Saris paused. "Because their emotions are complex, I suppose." "But that makes no sense," Terran replied. "Tears are a sign of distress, yet they cry when joyful too. It's illogical." "Yes," Saris murmured softly. "Illogical, and yet beautiful." Terran looked at her with confusion. The word beautiful had no place in military speech, but he said nothing more. Soon other officers began showing subtle signs of change. The maintenance crew hummed human songs they had heard through open channels. A navigation officer kept a small image of Earth's oceans on her monitor. Even the usually silent guards began talking softly to each other between shifts. At first, Saris thought it was just curiosity, but the Aurelian High Command did not see it that way. One morning she received a direct transmission from the High Council. Their leader, Primarch Atheon, appeared on the screen, a tall, cold figure whose silver eyes showed no emotion. "Captain Saris Viel," he said in a firm voice, "reports indicate that your crew is showing signs of psychological disturbance. We suspect exposure to human emotional frequencies is the cause." Saris straightened. "Disturbance, sir? My crew is simply adapting to new information." "Adapting?" Atheon's voice hardened. "Emotion spreads like infection, Captain. It clouds logic and weakens loyalty. You will isolate your crew from all human transmissions at once. Do you understand?" Saris hesitated. She wanted to obey. She had always obeyed. But this time, something inside her rebelled quietly. "I understand, Primarch," she said calmly, "but cutting all contact might end negotiations. The humans may misinterpret it as hostility." Atheon stared at her. "Hostility will be the least of their worries if they resist the Empire." The screen went dark. Saris sat alone for a long time. For the first time in her life, she felt something she could not define, a pull between duty and conscience. Later that day, she opened a private channel to Earth. Commander Hale appeared on her screen, tired but smiling. "Captain Saris," he greeted warmly. "I was starting to think you forgot about us." "I do not forget," she replied. "But my superiors are growing impatient. They see your emotions as a threat." Hale leaned back, thoughtful. "Emotions? That's what makes us human. It's how we connect, how we survive. Maybe that's what your people are afraid of, not our weapons, but our hearts." Saris looked down. "Hearts cannot win wars." "Maybe not," he said softly, "but they can stop them." For a long time, neither spoke. The silence between them was not empty. It was full of understanding. Finally, Hale asked gently, "Tell me, Captain, when you look at Earth, what do you see?" Saris turned toward the viewport. The planet glowed like a blue jewel. "I see chaos," she said first. Then, after a pause, she added, "But beautiful chaos." Hale smiled. "Then maybe you're starting to see it the way we do." As days turned into weeks, the changes aboard Radiant Spear grew stronger. The crew began to show emotion openly, smiling, laughing, even expressing curiosity. The Aurelian psychologists called it the emotional virus. They said humanity's uncontrolled energy was spreading through contact and communication. To the Aurelians, emotion was infection. To Saris, it was awakening. She began keeping a secret log, writing things she could never say aloud. "Something is happening to us. The humans have done nothing aggressive, yet their presence reshapes us. We begin to feel fear, hope, even joy. I do not know if it is dangerous or divine. One evening, Sarah stood in her observation chamber again, watching the Earth spin slowly below. The lights of its cities looked like constellations on the dark surface. She wondered what it must be like to live among such brightness and noise, to wake and dream without fear of showing emotion. She didn't hear her door open until Lieutenant Taryn spoke behind her. "Captain, may I ask something personal?" She turned. "Of course. Do you ever feel strange when speaking with the human commander?" Saris hesitated. "Strange? How?" Taryn's expression softened slightly. "As if your logic weakens but your mind grows clearer." For a moment she didn't answer. Then she smiled faintly. "Yes, that is exactly how it feels." Taryn nodded slowly. "I think I feel it too." They stood in silence for a while, looking down at the glowing world. But peace was fragile. The Aurelian High Command soon intercepted her private transmissions with Earth. A warning message arrived marked, "Urgent." "Captain Saris Vial, you are in violation of command protocol. Continued exposure to human influence will result in reassignment and mental recalibration. You will terminate all contact with the humans immediately." Recalibration, a word that meant erasing memory, the cleansing of thought and emotion. Saris's hands trembled slightly as she read it. For an Aurelian, showing such reaction was unthinkable. Yet she could not stop. Later that night, she opened one final secure link to Hale. He appeared on screen, his face surprised. "Captain, it's late. Are you all right?" "I may not be," she said quietly. "My people are calling your influence a virus." Hale frowned. "A virus? That's ridiculous. You've done nothing wrong." "Perhaps," she whispered, "but I have felt wrong, and right, in ways I never have before." He smiled gently. "Then maybe you're becoming more human." She gave a small laugh, soft and uncertain. "Is that a good thing? For me?" Hale said. "It's the best thing." There was a pause, longer this time, deeper. Then Sarah spoke again, her voice low and hesitant. "If they remove me, if they silence this connection, remember that I tried to understand." Hale leaned closer. "And I'll make sure the world remembers you as the first Aurelian who truly listened." She smiled faintly, her golden eyes shimmering. "Commander Hale, you humans are dangerous." He chuckled. "We get that a lot." When the transmission ended, Sarah stood alone in the dim chamber. Her reflection looked back at her. An Aurelian soldier, yes, but not the same as before. Something human had touched her soul. She whispered softly to the empty room. "We called it a virus. But maybe it is a cure." Outside, the planet turned beneath her, bright and alive. A beacon of everything the Aurelian Empire had forgotten. And somewhere deep inside her heart, for the first time in her life, Saris felt hope. Weeks had passed since Captain Saris Vial last heard from the Aurelian High Command. The silence felt heavy, almost like a warning hidden behind calm words. Her ship, Radiant Spear, still hovered quietly above Earth, but the crew had changed beyond recognition. They smiled. They laughed softly when they made small mistakes. They talked about the humans not as enemies, but as people. And yet Saris knew the peace would not last forever. The Aurelian Empire never allowed such transformation. They would come soon, demanding obedience, control, and logic. Commander Ryan Hale, on the other hand, had become something of a symbol among his people. News channels showed him speaking calmly about unity and trust. Some called him a dreamer, others called him a fool. But even those who doubted him could not ignore the fact that, since his talks began, no alien weapon had fired, no human had died. Still he felt restless. Every night he would look up at the sky, searching for that faint glimmer that marked Saris's ship. He didn't know why her presence mattered so much. It was more than curiosity. It was connection. One evening, while he stood by the observation deck at the New Geneva spaceport, his communicator beeped. It was her. "Commander Hale," Saris's calm voice echoed. "I am contacting you through a private channel. It must remain secret. The High Command is watching. Hale smiled softly. Captain, I thought you'd forgotten me. I do not forget, she replied. But I may not be allowed to remember for long. The words chilled him. What do you mean? They plan to replace me, Sarah said quietly. They believe I am. Compromised. Compromised? Hale repeated. Because you talked to us? No, she said. Because I listened. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the stars shone like small fires, distant but alive. Finally, Hale said, Then we'll find a way to meet. No cameras, no councils, no rules. Just you and me. Sarah hesitated. That would be forbidden, he smiled. Then it will be our little secret. 2 nights later, under the pale light of Mars's moons, a small human shuttle flew quietly toward a forgotten research station floating between Earth and Mars. It had once been used for mineral studies but was now abandoned. Inside the station, air recyclers hummed faintly as Hale waited. He wore a simple flight suit, no rank markings, no weapon. He didn't come as a diplomat today. He came as a friend. Moments later, a beam of light passed across the window. The Radiant Spear's small transport pod approached, docking smoothly. The door opened and Sarah stepped inside. She wore no armor, only a soft gray uniform. Without her golden breastplate and glowing emblems, she looked less like a commander and more like a person. For a few seconds, neither spoke. They just looked at each other, 2 beings from different worlds yet somehow standing on the same ground. You really came, Hale said softly. I had to, Sarah answered. If this is the end of my command, I wanted to understand humanity before it is taken from me. Hale smiled gently. Then let's start with something simple. He walked over to a small box and opened it. Inside was a round fruit, red and shiny. This, he said proudly, is an apple. Sarah blinked. A weapon. Hale laughed. No, it's food. Try it. She looked at it carefully, then took a small bite. Her eyes widened. It is sweet. That's how Earth feels, he said. Sometimes sharp, sometimes sweet, Sarah smiled faintly. I think I understand. Hours passed as they talked. About their worlds, their people, and their dreams. Sarah told him about Aurelia, the crystal cities that floated above oceans of mist. She spoke of her early training, how emotions were forbidden, how even laughter was punished. Hale listened quietly, his heart heavy. That sounds lonely. It was, she admitted softly, but I did not know it until now. He nodded slowly. Loneliness is strange. You never realize how deep it is until someone reaches in and pulls you out. Her golden eyes met his. You speak like you're poets. Poets are the ones who make chaos beautiful, he said with a grin. Sarah gave a small laugh. Quiet, uncertain, but real. It was the first time she had laughed freely in her life. And though it lasted only a moment, she could feel something shift inside her, a warmth she couldn't name. Suddenly, an alarm blared softly on her wristband. Sarah looked down, her face turning serious. They have detected my ship's deviation from orbit, she said. I must return before they send a recall command. Hale stepped closer. Sarah, listen. If they take you back, they will erase me, she finished calmly. Yes, that is likely. Then don't go, Hale said firmly. Stay here. We can protect you, she shook her head. No, you cannot fight the Aurelian Empire. They would see it as proof that humanity must be controlled. He clenched his fists. There has to be another way. She looked at him for a long moment, then said softly, Maybe not now. But someday. As she turned to leave, he said quietly, Saris. She stopped. Hale hesitated, then said, If they take everything from you, your memories, your command, remember this, you are not just Aurelian anymore. You're part of something greater. You're part of us. Saris didn't reply immediately. Her chest felt tight, her breath uneven. Finally, she whispered, You humans are dangerous, Commander Hale. He smiled gently, only when we care. For a brief second, their hands almost touched. Then she pulled away and left. Back aboard her ship, Saris was met with silence. Her second officer, Terran, looked at her with worry. Captain, your absence was noticed, he said. They are sending an inspection vessel from the High Command. They suspect treason. Sarah stood tall. Then we prepare to greet them. Terran hesitated. Captain, if they accuse you, we will be ordered to detain you. She met his gaze calmly. Would you obey? He looked down. I don't know anymore. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Then there is still hope. The next day, the Aurelian inspection cruiser Vigilant Dawn arrived. Its dark hull shimmered with energy as it transmitted orders directly to her ship. Captain Saris Viel. The cold voice of the Primarch echoed through the speakers. You are to stand down and surrender command for immediate psychological evaluation. Her crew shifted nervously. Some whispered. Others looked at her, waiting for direction. Saris knew what this meant. If she went willingly, they would erase everything she had learned. Every emotion, every human word, every laugh. But if she resisted, it would mean open rebellion. For a long time, she stood silent. Then she spoke, her voice steady. Inform the Vigilant Dawn that the Radiant Spear will comply, but I will speak directly with the Primarch first. The crew obeyed, unsure of what she planned. When the communication line opened, Athion's cold image appeared once again. Captain, he said sharply, you have disobeyed orders, concealed transmissions, and allowed emotional contamination to spread through your ship. Explain yourself. Saris looked straight into the camera. I have learned from the humans. They are not a threat to the galaxy. They are a reminder of what we have lost. Athion's eyes narrowed. You sound infected. Perhaps I am, she said calmly. But if emotion is a disease, then I do not wish to be cured. The chamber went silent. Even her crew froze at her words. Athion's expression turned to cold fury. You are no longer fit for command. Return to Aurelia for cleansing, or be declared a traitor. The transmission cut off. Saris stood there for a moment, her mind racing. She could surrender, or she could run. Either way, she knew the Empire would not forgive her. Lieutenant Terran stepped forward. Captain, what are your orders? She looked around at her crew, their uncertain faces, their trembling hands. They were afraid, yes, but not empty. For the first time, they were alive. Her voice was calm but filled with quiet strength. We set course for Mars orbit. We will not fight them. We will not run. We will stand, Terran nodded slowly. And if they attack? Saris smiled faintly. Then humanity will not be alone when they face the Empire. That night, as the Radiant Spear drifted above the red planet, Saris opened a small communication channel. Hale's face appeared instantly, his eyes filled with worry. Saris, we heard about the inspection ship. What's happening? She smiled softly. Nothing you can stop, Commander. But remember what you said and that I am part of you now. He nodded, his voice quiet. Always. The connection flickered, static washing over the image, and as her ship floated silently under the starlight, Saris whispered to herself, even if they erase me, they cannot erase what I felt. For the first time in her life, Captain Saris Vial was not afraid. The Aurelian fleet floated above the blue planet, its silver ships shining like cold moons. Each vessel was armed with enough power to burn oceans, yet the world below was calm. Humans continued their lives, unaware that the greatest armada in galactic history was ready to attack. Captain Saris stood in the command room of her flagship, Valorian. The dark space beyond the window felt endless, but the weight in her chest was heavier than any star. Her hands rested behind her back as her officers awaited her command. One word from her, and the invasion of Earth would begin. But that word never came. Her mind was not focused on war plans or enemy defenses. It was filled with a human smile, a smile she couldn't forget. Commander Ryan Hale's words echoed inside her. We don't need war. Your beauty has already killed us. She had tried to push them away, to bury them under her duty as a soldier, but they refused to die. They grew louder every time she looked toward the small blue planet. The order from the Aurelian High Council was clear. Destroy the Earth's defenses, make the humans surrender, and capture their leaders. The Council feared the emotional virus spreading among their people, soldiers laughing, smiling, even writing poetry after contact with humans. They believed only war could cleanse it, but Saris had seen the truth. Humanity had not infected the Aurelians. They had reminded them what it felt like to care. Her second-in-command, Officer Carroll, turned to her. Captain, the High Council is waiting for your confirmation. Shall we begin orbital bombardment? Saris stayed silent. Her eyes lingered on Earth, its clouds glowing white over the oceans. Carroll spoke again, this time more firmly. Captain, if we delay longer, the Council will assume disobedience. They will remove us from command, Saris finally looked at him. Her voice was calm but heavy. "And if we obey, Carol, what then? We destroy a race that has never attacked us? We silence voices that only wanted peace?" Carol hesitated. He had served under her for years, and he had never seen her question an order. "They are a dangerous species," he said quietly. "Their emotions are unpredictable." A small, sad smile crossed her lips. "Perhaps that is what makes them strong." On Earth, Commander Hale stood in the United Nations Command Center watching the sky through a reinforced window. The alien fleet was visible even to the naked eye, silver lights twinkling in orbit. Humanity had prepared its defenses, but everyone knew they would not survive a full assault. Still, there was no panic in his heart. Somehow he believed Saris would not attack. "She's not like the others," he told his aide, a young scientist named Lila. "She listens. She feels. I've seen it in her eyes." Lila looked doubtful. "You trust an alien captain with the fate of our world?" Hale nodded. "I trust what makes her human, even if she isn't one." He didn't know that at that same moment on the Valorian, Saris was staring at Earth with the same hope, the same quiet faith that something inside her could change the future. Hours passed. Tension spread across both fleets. Aurelian ships locked their weapons, waiting for Saris's signal. On the human side, defense satellites powered up, ready to fight even if it meant extinction. The silence before the storm was unbearable. Finally, a voice broke through the quiet, the High Council's transmission. "Captain Saris," said the cold voice of Chancellor Terran, "why have you not begun the attack?" Saris pressed her communicator. "Chancellor, I request reconsideration. Humanity is not our enemy. They are—" "Enough!" the Chancellor interrupted. "You are a soldier, not a philosopher. The humans have infected you with weakness. You will carry out your duty, or we will assign another to take your place." Every officer in the command room held their breath. They all knew what assign another meant: execution and replacement. Saris stood tall. "With respect, Chancellor, weakness is not what I feel. I feel understanding. I have seen what the humans are capable of. Their emotions give them unity. Their compassion makes them stronger than any empire." The Chancellor's voice grew sharp. "You are speaking treason." "Perhaps," Saris replied quietly. "Or perhaps I'm finally speaking the truth." The transmission ended. The command room was filled with silence again, but it was different now. Tense, electric. Carol stepped closer. "Captain, what are you doing?" Saris looked around at her crew. Some were confused, some afraid, but many were hopeful. "I'm choosing peace," she said. The first officer reached for his console. "Incoming message from multiple Aurelian ships. They're asking if we are really refusing to fire." "Tell them yes," Saris said. "Tell them the Valorian will not participate in murder." Within minutes, more signals appeared. Ship after ship reported the same decision. First 5, then 10. Then an entire squadron refused the attack order. The Chancellor's voice roared through the fleet-wide channel. "All vessels refusing to engage will be marked as traitors." But it was too late. The idea had already spread. Faster than light. Faster than fear. One Aurelian soldier whispered to another, "Maybe the captain is right. Maybe we don't need to fight." Back on Earth, Hale received the transmission from orbit. His eyes widened as the Aurelian fleet began changing formation. Instead of moving closer, the ships turned away from their attack positions. "Sir," Lila said in disbelief, "they're standing down." Hale smiled faintly. "She did it." He rushed to the communication terminal. "This is Commander Hale to Captain Saris. If you can hear me, thank you." For a long moment there was no reply. Then her voice came through, calm but full of emotion. "I told them what you told me, Commander. That we don't need war. That beauty can kill, not with destruction but with wonder." Hale laughed softly. "You've started something bigger than both of us." Meanwhile, chaos broke out in the Aurelian capital. The High Council demanded full control, but the people were already questioning their leaders. Images of humans and Aurelians standing together refusing war spread across their networks. Poets wrote of the Blue Planet Revolution. Children painted stars with human faces. Soldiers who once followed orders without question began asking why they ever fought. Saris stood at the window of her ship, watching Earth turn slowly below. Carol joined her. "You've changed everything," he said quietly. She shook her head. "Not me. Them." The humans reminded us what we had forgotten, that even in darkness we can choose light. The next morning, both species held their breath as a joint transmission was sent across the galaxy. It showed a simple image. Captain Saris and Commander Hale side by side, unarmed, smiling at the same horizon. Hale spoke first. To all worlds listening, today humanity and Aurelia declare peace. Not because one side won, but because both sides learned. Saris added softly, "We don't need war. Your beauty has already killed us." Those words changed me. Let them change you too. The message spread faster than any weapon ever had. Across distant colonies, alien races paused to listen. Some cried without knowing why. For the first time in thousands of years, hope became a language everyone understood. That night, Saris returned to her quarters. The stars outside glowed brighter than ever. She placed her hand over her heart, feeling something she had never known before: peace. For centuries, the Aurelians had built empires through power and fear. But that night, as their ships drifted silently beside Earth, the universe felt alive again. Commander Hale looked up at the night sky from the ground below, whispering into the wind, "We didn't win a war. We won a heart." And somewhere beyond the clouds, Saris smiled. The war that never happened became the story the galaxy would never forget. The day when beauty, kindness, and emotion defeated war itself. Months had passed since the day humanity and the Aurelian Empire avoided war. The galaxy watched in awe as two species, once ready to destroy each other, instead chose understanding. On Earth, people celebrated quietly. There were no parades or ceremonies. The news of peace had spread quickly, but humans, in their usual way, turned it into something simple: a gathering under the stars, watching satellites float across the night sky. Commander Orion Hale stood in the center of a small crowd. Children pointed at the flickering lights above and parents smiled softly. Hale's mind, however, was elsewhere. He thought of Captain Saris Viel, the alien commander who had chosen humanity's way over her empire's orders. Even now, months later, he could see her golden eyes in his mind, filled with curiosity, doubt, and courage. Above Earth, in orbit, the Valorian and other Aurelian ships had formed a quiet fleet. But this fleet no longer carried weapons pointed at the planet. They carried materials for construction, research equipment, and modules for habitation. The humans had proposed a daring plan: a shared station between Earth and Aurelia. A place where both species could learn from each other, exchange knowledge, and grow together. They called it Harmony Station. Captain Saris Vale looked down at Earth from her observation deck, the small blue planet glowing like a jewel below her. The station's construction modules floated nearby, ready to be assembled. Her heart, once cold and disciplined, now fluttered with an unfamiliar warmth. She had never imagined that following her conscience, listening to humans, and feeling, of all things, could lead to something like this. Hale arrived at Harmony Station the day the first modules docked. The humans wore light suits with flexible helmets, while Aurelian officers wore simplified uniforms, still elegant, but without heavy armor. When Saris saw him, her heart skipped a beat. She could feel her face warming, a sensation she had once thought strange and useless. Hale smiled, stepping forward to greet her. "You made it," he said. "I would not miss it," she replied softly. They shook hands, human style, and for a moment, their fingers lingered, sharing the silent understanding of two beings from different worlds, now connected by something greater than duty. The first months on Harmony Station were challenging. Humans and Aurelians had different customs, languages, and ways of thinking. The Aurelians, once emotionless, struggled with their new feelings: laughter, curiosity, even friendship. Saris often walked through the station's corridors, observing. A young Aurelian officer was teaching a human child how to use a simple navigation console. The child giggled every time the officer explained something incorrectly. The officer laughed as well, uncertain but delighted. Saris whispered to herself, "They are learning, and so am I." Hale joined her, his eyes scanning the busy station. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" "More than I imagined," she said. "I thought building peace would be boring. Controlled, predictable. But it's alive. It feels alive." Hale nodded. "That's humanity's gift. We survive, we create, and we feel, and now, so do you. Ceres smiled faintly, her golden eyes reflecting the glow of the station. Perhaps feeling is stronger than power. The station soon became a hub of shared knowledge. Humans taught Aurelians about art, music, and literature. In return, Aurelians shared their advanced science, technology, and starship designs. In one of the observation halls, a group of human children floated in low gravity, painting colorful swirls on transparent panels. An Aurelian child watched curiously, tilting her head as she tried to mimic the motion. Ceres stood nearby, watching them. She felt a quiet joy she could not name. It was not strategy, not duty, not victory. It was something simpler, deeper. It was hope. Hale approached, carrying 2 mugs of warm beverage. Here, something human for someone learning to feel. Ceres took one and smiled. Thank you, it tastes comforting. Hale laughed. Exactly. That's the point. Life on Harmony Station was not without challenges. Some Aurelian leaders still resisted the idea of peace. They believed humans were illogical, unpredictable, and dangerous. But the station's success spoke louder than any argument. Over time, even the skeptics began to change. They watched humans and Aurelians collaborate, share meals, teach one another, and laugh together. Slowly, doubt turned into understanding. Ceres often reminded herself of the first time she had met Hale on Earth. She remembered his calm smile, the warmth in his voice, and the words that had struck her so deeply. We don't need war. Your beauty has already killed us. That phrase had not only saved Earth, it had transformed her people. One quiet evening, Hale and Ceres walked together along a narrow observation balcony. Below them, the Earth rotated slowly, lights sparkling across the continents. Stars stretched endlessly above. You've changed everything, Hale said softly. Not just for Earth, but for your people as well. Ceres looked at him, her expression thoughtful. And you? You've changed too. You showed me that peace can be stronger than fear. That connection is stronger than force, he smiled. Sometimes the smallest actions leave the largest impact. Her eyes met his. For a moment they were no longer captain and commander, no longer alien and human. They were 2 souls who had found understanding across the stars. Ceres felt herself blush, a soft warmth that spread across her cheeks. She could not hide it even if she wanted to. Hale chuckled softly. You humans are dangerous, she said. He took her hand gently. Only when we care, he replied. And for the first time in both their lives, they laughed. Not for duty, not for order, but for joy. Harmony Station grew. Communities formed. Gardens floated in low gravity. Schools taught human and Aurelian children side by side. Music echoed through corridors. Laughter filled laboratories, and art decorated every observation deck. The galaxy watched in awe. Reports arrived from distant systems. Planets that had lived under fear now sent delegations to learn about Harmony Station. Slowly, the idea spread. Peace, compassion, and understanding could triumph over war. Ceres often visited Earth virtually, using her ship's systems to observe the oceans, forests, and cities. Sometimes she would see a child pointing at the sky, imagining distant stars, and she remembered her first meetings with Hale, the quiet plains of Iceland, and the words that had changed everything. We don't need war. Your beauty has already killed us. She whispered them to herself and smiled. Months turned into years. Ceres and Hale continued their work together, building trust between humans and Aurelians. They laughed, debated, taught, and learned. And though their bond was deeper than friendship, it was never forced or rushed. It grew naturally, a symbol of what could happen when species listened instead of fought. One evening, as the 2 of them stood on the station's observation deck, Hale looked at Ceres. Do you ever think we can change the galaxy completely? Ceres smiled. We already have. 1 planet, 1 station, 1 choice at a time. Hale laughed softly. Then let's continue. She nodded, looking out at Earth's horizon, glowing blue and alive. Yes, let's continue. And for the first time in galactic history, the universe seemed a little brighter. Not because of weapons or power, but because 2 species had learned to care. And 1 human had reminded an alien captain that beauty, kindness, and understanding could be stronger than war itself. Harmony Station became the symbol of a new age. Humans and Aurelians worked, lived, and dreamed together. The children of both species learned not just technology, but compassion. Stories were shared across galaxies about the day a war did not happen, the day a simple compliment and the courage to feel saved worlds. Captain Saris Viel often stood on the observation deck, watching Earth's sunrise through the station's glass walls. Beside her, Hale poured 2 cups of warm drink. They sat in silence for a moment, enjoying the peace that their courage had earned. Finally, Saris looked at Hale, her golden eyes soft. "You were right," she said. Hale raised an eyebrow. "About what?" She smiled almost shyly. "Beauty and peace. They are stronger than anything I have ever known." Hale reached for her hand. "And they will keep us alive if we never forget." Outside, the stars shone endlessly. Inside, Harmony Station pulsed with life, hope, and laughter. 2 species, once on the brink of destruction, now built a future together. A future where understanding was the strongest weapon, and love and friendship were the greatest victories. And somewhere in the quiet glow of the cosmos, humanity proved once again that even without war they could change the universe.